And we're live. Hi, and welcome to Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and today I am here with underwear model, influencer, and Mr. Gay Great Britain 2024 nominee, Jordan Chan. How you doing today, sexy?
Hello, yeah, I'm good, thank you. You?
Welcome. Work. So, where are you originally from?
So I'm based in a place called Kent, which is probably just about an hour outside of London in the UK.
You've lived there your whole life, right?
Yeah, always lived
Yeah.
there my life. Yeah.
Uh, I know that I'm planning on moving this year because, I'm living where I grew up and it's like too small town for me, and I just I need to get out of this state. Like it's too hot. Like I'm in Florida, so it's too hot like all year round. So I'm moving north and I'm like, my God.
Yeah, I live in Kent is like the countryside, so I travel into London quite a bit to see my friend because the same. I just don't like the small town. I like visiting a city. It's much busier. It's better.
See, okay, well, before I go into my next question, I'll guess this. So would you ever want to move out of the small town and live in the city, or
No, I don't think so. I like the quietness. I like to visit London and then come home again. I don't think I'm built for city life. I like my chilled nights and living in Kent, and I just like to visit London at the weekends and then come home again.
yeah, see. My thing is also I'm a musician as well as doing this, so it's like being in a city is better because it's like I can actually do stuff versus here where I'm in the suburbs and I can't really do much. So yeah, so I'm planning on moving to a bigger city out of my state this year, putting out an album and doing all that. So it'll be
Yeah.
something that's very sort of fun.
So where are you moving
And
to?
I'm moving to Detroit.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's literally as I say, especially with the way things are in America, it's literally the most affordable city, in my opinion, where stuff's going on in America because it is so. I know in the UK it's expensive to live, but it's so expensive to live in
Yeah.
pretty much anywhere in the United States now.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same in the UK, to be honest. I'm actually States in July. I'm coming to visit to stay with some friends in Dallas, in Texas.
Okay, I've flown over Texas and I've done connecting flights in Texas, but I've never actually spent any time there.
I love Dallas. I think it's a great city. They've got a great gay nightlife as well. It's just brilliant. I love it. I've been 3 times before, so this will be my fourth time in
Yeah.
July.
See, it's much so in Florida. Florida's another one of those places where people are like, I love partying there. It's so great. It's so fun. I'm like, and that's why people say I would love to live in Florida. I'm like, you really wouldn't. It's really fun for you to come for a few days, a weekend, a week, whatever, chill, relax here, but this is not it's very conservative, and that's why the
Uh,
conservative of it is because literally, unlike, I don't know if it's like this in the UK, but there are places in the US, and Detroit is one of them, where having job security is very good.
hmm
Because for me in Florida, I could literally go to my job tomorrow, and if they, with no reason at all, they can just fire me.
Oh no, you can't do that in the UK. We've got employment protection laws.
Yeah. Well, that's why they have them in Detroit. They have labor unions that fight for them, but Florida's not like that. So it's if they want to fire you, they don't have to give you a reason. They could be just
Yeah. No, it's definitely not like that here in the UK. You have to go through a whole process. If you want to fire someone, it's not easy to do. You have to do a lot of paperwork, a lot of meetings and processes. It's quite thorough.
Yeah. So, what was it like for you growing up as a kid?
So where I live, it was quite difficult to be honest. So I'm mixed race, and I got a lot of um, bullying because I was mixed race from where I was from. So I didn't have a necessarily easy childhood. It wasn't to do with the fact that I was gay because I didn't come out until I was older.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a bad childhood, like when it comes to friends and family, but I did used to get a lot of grief when I was at school for being mixed race.
Yeah, because you're what? You're white and Asian, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So my mum's English and my dad's Chinese, so I'm half
Yeah.
Chinese.
Which is like, it's sad that like, well, first of all, it's sad that like, I'm assuming you're younger than I am, so like, because most people are on here. It's like I grew up at a time where like that kind of stuff wasn't common, but now, as I always say, like you look at I don't know what it's like in the UK, but you look at statistics in the US, that's the future of how things are.
Hmm.
Like very rarely are people dating inside their race, and I think it's amazing. Like I am someone who has never, well, actually, except for once, I've never dated inside my race. So it's like that idea that we're in this like somewhat progressive world, and like those stigmas are hopefully becoming less and less, which
Yeah, yeah,
would be
definitely.
great.
But how old are you?
I'm 29. I'm gonna be turning 30 this year.
Oh, I'm older than you. I'm 32 in July.
No, what? Wow.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought I was older than you. So yeah, I'm 32 in July, so currently 31.
well, it's also the, and I don't mean this in a bad way. It's also the like twink thing. So it's like it makes you look kind of younger, but like,
I'll take being called a twink. That's absolutely fine.
well, this is at least my view on when people talk about aging. It's like I don't know if it's like this in the UK, but in the US, there's so much of that, especially in the gay community. It's like that. Oh my god, you're over 30. You're old. Like,
Yeah, it's the same here. You hit gay death at over 25, to be fair, in the UK. And then over 30, then you're practically invisible, unfortunately.
but it's to me, it's like that's crazy because it's like, first of all, I've always like, even when I was in my 20s, I thought this is my thing. I've always been the person who's like, I don't give a fuck if somebody's like in their 40s plus. If a person's hot, person's hot. I don't give a fuck about
Mm,
their age. Like,
yeah, me too.
but that sort of like, I don't know. It's it's a mess. Anyways, that leads me kind of into my next question. So, what was it like for you coming out?
Um, my family were took it difficult at first, because I've always had like girlfriends and stuff like that at school. I think it
Right.
came as a bit of a shock. Um, so it took a while, um, but now absolutely fine. My mum's great with it. Talk to her about most things if I need to. My family's very supportive now. Um, so yeah, brilliant. Didn't have any problems with any of my friends. I was really lucky, to be fair. My mum had a difficult time getting her head around it because I had girlfriends, but she
Yeah.
quickly came round and was absolutely fine. So, and I came out when I was 18, I think, 18, 19. So I've been out for 12 years. So it's
Yeah.
so
I also came out when I was 18. So, to the I had this is the thing. I had both sides. I had difficulty and I had easy.
Mm.
So family for me was kind of easy. I say in some ways I was fortunate because I only had to come out to one parent because I came out 4 months after my mom died. So it's only having to come out to my dad, and then I have an older sister who my older sister was super accepting, and then we fast forward to November and she just came out herself. So
Oh, okay.
I'm like that makes sense.
Well, I'm actually a twin, and my twin brother is also gay as well.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow. Well, I mean, I was thinking. Well, I mean, now that you say that I'm trying to think. Could a twin be straight? Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. The only other like gay twins that I know of are both gay. So like,
Yeah, I don't know many sets of twins. To be fair, I haven't come across any sets of twins that one's gay, one's straight. It's either one or the other.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
So yes, that was. So there was the easy part. So the difficult part. So I came out to a youth minister at the church,
Mm.
and I told him about this performance idea I had with like a knife and how I'd practice stabbing myself because I'm dramatic, clearly. And he left the room. He came back in about 10 minutes later. He said, "Okay, you have one of two options. Either you're coming with me or I'm calling the cops."
Wow.
Now, in hindsight, I would have let him call the cops.
Yeah,
I didn't. I went with him. So he took me to get a psych eval.
that would never happen in the UK.
No, they had told me I had passed it. And then I was just sitting back. I was on my phone. I was like, "Yeah, come back." Talking to my dad. I'm like, "Yeah, come back here and get me." And I kept yelling. He's like, "Get off the phone!" I'm thinking, like, what the fuck? Like, you're not talking to me at all. Like,
Mm.
and then they just stuck me in a hospital room. And then for 5 hours, they didn't tell me a thing. They just left me in there. And then around like 2 o'clock in the morning, they had told me that they had put me on a suicide hold, and I had to go to a behavioral clinic for they said 72 hours. I didn't do the full 72. I did 64. I was unfortunately brought in on a weekend, so I think that made things more difficult.
Mm.
Because had I been brought in a week, I probably would have been let out in a day.
Mm.
But and then after I got out, the youth minister and a priest had me in a room, and they got me a therapist who did 4 sessions with me and then on the last one, she tried to pray the gay away.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
And spoiler alert, we all know how well that worked. No, I mean that so 32. So, well, okay. I don't know how were things with the gay community in the UK
What when
because
I
I
came?
know, yeah, when you came out.
So when I came out, it was okay. To be fair, gay marriage wasn't legalized in the UK at that point, so we've
No,
come a long way since I came out. And there's probably like one or two. There's probably a generation. More people come out while they're at school now, which was never a thing. Like you would never have come out at school when I was that age or when I was younger. It's becoming a lot more accepting. There's a lot more LGBTQ representation on TV as well, like TV shows, Netflix,
Right.
programs like Heartstopper would never have existed back when I came out. It was very rare that you had any sort of gay representation on TV. And yeah, gay marriage wasn't legalized. You could have a civil partnership. But overall, I haven't really come across any homophobia. I've been quite lucky, really. Even when I go to straight bars or clubs, I've very, very rarely had any problems.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of get that. It's been kind of the same here. Don't really go to straight bars that much. Only time I do is when I go to see drag performers, because there are drag performers in my area. They don't accept me because, unlike all of them who all lip sync, I sing live every time I perform. So, like,
Mm,
and that's not. I know in the UK that's a bigger thing where like more people like sing live, more drag queens sing live, but it's
yeah,
all. Well, I think because I'm in a smaller town, they're not used to somebody. How do I put it? Somebody stirring shit up, like,
yeah,
and just wanting to be real and be honest with people. That's the one thing that I will say about doing music, doing this. It's like that's what I've always wanted to like get towards, because I know a lot of people like in terms of doing interviews just want to, at least in my view, exploit their guests
yeah.
and just ask them questions. That's, I guess I have more empathy than some people, and that's
Mm,
why I don't like to kind of do that. But that is, at least that's how I feel. There's so many times that like I'm the one who's like reaching out to people, because like if I see somebody's like going through anything, I'm the one who's always like, "Baby, I'm here. Let's talk." Because like
mm,
I don't like seeing people suffer. That's just,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I mean, with the UK as well. Like I say, I've been pretty lucky where there's not been. I've not personally come across a lot of any homophobic abuse. I know that a lot of people do. There's still a lot of work to be done in the UK around trans rights, around conversion therapy, which that's still
Yes.
legal in the UK, believe it or not. And there's a lot of work to be done to ban conversion therapy, to give um, our trans community more rights, equal rights. Um, there's still a hell of a lot of work to do in the UK. Um, but I think that we are definitely much more progressed than the US when it comes to LGBTQ rights. Still a lot of work to be done in the UK, but we're definitely more further ahead than what you've experienced in the States.
Yeah, well, yes, I would say that. It's just, well, first of all, with all of that, I'm just gonna ask this question. So that like conversion therapy and all that, is that covered by insurance?
No.
Okay. Because that would be another thing, because it's like the one way that the UK I feel does things right is it's something that I can't believe we're still having this conversation in 2024, is that they actually pay for your healthcare. Like, that's,
The NHS.
yes, it's like it's one thing that's like, probably if I were to move to Europe, that would be like the most appealing thing about it. It's like, because this is the thing, you can spend hundreds of dollars. There's some people who spend
Yeah,
upwards of $700 a month on health insurance.
When I came to Dallas, one of the years that I travelled out, I fell ill and had to go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Really shocked at how expensive a consultation was, and then the medication, and then you had to pay the taxes and the fees and the admin charge on top. I was just like, wow, like you wouldn't have. This doesn't happen in the UK. I was really surprised at how expensive it was. So yeah, we are lucky to have the NHS in the UK.
I mean, granted, the biggest argument in the US, people say like they say we don't have the money for, we don't have this. It's like, but we have billions of dollars to give to the military to like go get in other people's wars. Like well, this is why like when people like are so judgmental of, especially in the United States, people who do like sex work, people who do anything, people who deal drugs, I'm like, I am not one of those people. I'm like, you do you, and it's like, why wouldn't you want to do that? In the United States, you get almost nothing for paying taxes. Why would you want to pay taxes if you deal drugs or do sex work? You get 100% of the income.
Mm,
I'm just thinking logically, and some people are like, that's insane. I'm like, but is it though? Like,
yeah.
really? Yeah, it's a mess. So, what made you want to become a model?
Um, I was really lucky, to be fair. So I was contacted when I only had a couple of hundred followers, and this brand messaged me and said we would love for you to model our stuff on Instagram. Would you do it? And I'd never done anything like that before. So I was like, yeah, sure, okay. Um, so I've posted my very first brand deal with a really small brand. And then over time, the brands have got bigger and bigger. And I've been lucky enough now to collaborate and be gifted by some of the biggest gay brands in the world. Um, I've done collaborations and posted for ES Collection, which is a big European gay clothing brand. I've done C in 2 UK, New York. That's an American company.
Yes.
I've done Aussie Bum as well. So yeah, I've just been really fortunate where I'm lucky enough to be gifted by these brands to model and market their merchandise really. So yeah, really lucky. And like I say, it's taken about 2.5 years to build up to where I am now. But yeah, so it just sort of fell like that. And then the bigger brand deals that I got, then the photographers came, the magazine deals came, and then we'll get onto it, but
Yeah.
Mr. Great Britain as well. So it's all just sort of
Yeah.
come up. I've just been really fortunate.
Well, okay. One thing that I will say, it's actually something that I like kind of like about some of your pictures is that like, again, I don't know if this is like necessarily just a UK thing, but it's like a lot of times you see models that don't like smile. And like
Yeah,
it's like
I've probably only got like 2 photos that I've smiled. I am quite aware that I should smile more. I do normally look quite moody in most of my photos, but there are some smiling ones as well.
but that's also probably from directives by photographers because it's like it's not just a you, like it's not like, oh, you're making these faces and all the other models are sitting over there like smiling. It's like, no,
Yeah,
they're not like.
I like to mix it up. I like to do smiley photos. I like to do more serious. It just depends, really. It just depends on what we're trying to achieve with the shoot. So it's just completely dependent on what we're trying to shoot at the time. Are we having a fun shoot? Are we having a serious shoot? Are we? It depends on the brand and the clothing that I'm wearing as well. So it's all, it all depends on the factors, really. But yeah, I smile in some I don't.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say this. I'm one of the people who's like, my thing is, so I guess why I became a drag queen. I kind of like accidentally stumbled into it because it's like, my thing was, let's see, I've been songwriting, God, I've been writing songs since I was 14 years old. So like, I remember like when I used to perform because there were like, when I finally moved, I moved to a city in Florida. I lived there for about 4 years, then before I had to move back home. So it's like when I did, I just went out there performing as like pretty much the same way I still do now. It's just now I got
Yeah.
to get in drag to do it. But it's like somebody just said like, and I had visions of what eventually became to be the Prince Electro Diamond you see in front of you, probably starting at like the age of 15, 16.
Mm.
And it's like, I was telling one of the performers one time because I actually got started in straight bars. Like that's how my start was. So it was like I was talking with like this performer and like telling him about all my ideas, and he's like, "Well, then why don't you just do it?" Like
Yeah.
he's like, "You have these visions." Like, I mean, granted, it was a more liberal time theoretically when I started performing than I would say arguably even than now, because it's like now that way that you said the UK has gotten better, I feel like in some ways the US has gotten worse.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I remember some of my first times. Owners were generally, so I performed at like the same bar all the time, and like the owners were cool with me except for like one night. So one night to end like one of my sets, I had screamed "motherfucker" into the microphone and then like went into a dance break. And then I went to go like sit at my table the next week, and the owner of the bar came out from behind the bar, and she like brought me this water. She's like, "Yeah, there's old people in the audience this week. Don't do that."
Hmm.
And my thought is, I'm thinking, am I not at a fucking bar?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not allowed to swear in a bar. Like, I'm thinking, okay, whatever. It's like, it's like fine. And then it's pretty much after that, I'm like, I stopped performing there because it's like, to this day, I don't like being censored.
Hmm.
That's why, like, I allow people to speak openly on here because it's like, how can I? This is my view, at least. How can I expect somebody not to swear when I can't? Not myself. So anyway, what is? Oh, that does lead me into. So, what was it like for you on your first shoot?
Again, I was really lucky.
Yeah,
All the photographers that I've worked with have all been brilliant. They've been really talented, really friendly, welcoming. You know, I've learned different things from each photographer that I've used. My very first shoot was really relaxed. It was really fun. I got lots of pointers from the photographer, and they just made me feel at ease. And I think that if you feel relaxed, you're going to give a better output because then you're not conscious of what you're doing. They directed me, they made me feel really relaxed, they were very friendly, and we produced some great images. So again, I was really fortunate that I dealt with
yeah,
my first experience was with such an experienced and professional photographer.
yeah. I mean, I will say now that I've kind of done a photo shoot, because like going back to me putting out an album, I have a photographer who wants to who has said they want to work are willing to work with me to shoot my album cover, and it's like in some ways I'm not nervous about it now because I've done an amateur photo shoot. So it's like now going in, but it's like unlike with you who's kind of having to do what the photographer wants, I'm gonna be more like, this is my vision. Hopefully you can work with me. And it's like, granted, I'll take suggestions. I'm not I feel like if you're sort of like, no, it's my way or this way, it's like, but how are you gonna improve if
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
listen?
With the photographers that I've worked with, they give me, I do have a say as well. So it's very collaborative. If I need their steer and I ask for it, they'll always provide guidance for me or their opinion, which I'm always grateful for. But um, I am very much in charge of my own shoot as well. So it is very collaborative. And again, I'm really lucky that I've worked with great photographers that allow me to do that. Um, but also when I need direction, or if I need their guidance or advice, then I'm always happy to. They're always happy for me to ask, and they're always happy to give it. So again, just been really fortunate.
So okay. So wait, you said when you shot with CN2, well, when you shot with CN2 New York, was that in the UK or were you in the US when you did that?
No, so I was in the UK, so they gifted me. So I used a UK photographer at studio, and they gifted me and posted me out the stuff that they wanted me to shoot in. And yeah, we done it in the UK.
Well, okay. So I mean, obviously, as you said, you're pretty much newly starting. Well, I mean, you're 2 years in, but you're still kind of 2 years is I don't know. Is that still kind of new in the
Yeah.
modeling game, right? Yeah. Okay. So do you ever want to work with photographers in the US, or are you just wanting to stay in the UK?
No, I'd love to work with photographers in the US, but it's just the traveling
Yeah, right.
and the expense as well. So it just depends on the opportunity. If I have spoken to a few different photographers that have been in New York, I might be having a photo shoot with an American brand whilst I'm in Dallas. Um, so can't say who that is yet because
Yeah,
we're going
of course, of
to
course.
have discussions nearer the time. But yeah, hopefully I'll be having my first US shoot in July.
See, that'll be amazing. I will admit, I would love to leave the country. I haven't done it much, and I feel like who knows, maybe with my album and stuff, I'll get a chance to go to the UK. If anyone from the UK is seeing this, I will gladly love to perform in the UK. It's cuz yeah, I would say probably the UK and Italy are my top two places that I want to go.
Mm. I've not been to Italy yet. I'd love to go to Italy.
Yeah. It's so amazing. And it's just I feel the way of life in Europe is well, obviously it's different than the United States because it's I feel like granted in a city you get the busy hustle and bustle of stuff. That's how it's supposed to be. But it's there's at least in some parts of the United States, there's this fear of people being direct, and it's that's why everyone talks about LA, Hollywood, and all that. And it's I thought about moving out there at one point. I'm I'm too direct to live in Hollywood because it's I'm not that person who's gonna tell somebody who's untalented, "Oh my god, babe, you did amazing. Keep on doing that." Love that. I'm gonna be literally. I'm gonna be like, well, okay, so who the fuck told you you could do this? Like,
I guess in the UK and Brits are more direct.
yeah,
So I get that. But the UK is very different to the rest of Europe.
right.
So we're not the same as we're in Europe. We
Well,
are Europe.
obviously,
We are the UK way of life, culture, the way that British people are is very, very different to the rest of Europe. So I've been to France, I've been to Germany, I've been to Spain, and other European countries, and we are very, very different. So it just depends what country you're in, really,
right,
the backgrounds. But yeah, Europe as a whole isn't all the same. All the countries that you'll go to will have different different cultures, different way of life. You'll have some cultures that are more blunt, I guess, and more direct, that might
right.
rude, but they're not rude. That's just the way that they are. So yeah, it's very different because a lot of people say like Europe and sort of cover it all off as one area,
Hmm.
but there's many different layers and cultures and way of life and how people are in Europe as well.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Like, sometimes it is like I didn't intentionally try and generalize, but sometimes it is easier to just like generalize. But I get what you're saying. Like, I
Yeah,
totally get that.
it is a bit like the states, where each state that you go to in America
Absolutely.
are all going to be different, have different laws, different way of life, different cultures. It's more or less the same as Europe, but instead of
Yeah.
state countries.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, what's your favorite part about being a model?
uh, the my favorite part is the experience. I really like the experience. I feel like it gives me a lot of confidence as well. Um, and I get to work with some amazing people. I love meeting new people, so that's great for me. Get to meet the photographers, other models. I get to really lucky and get gifted and get to work with different brands. So that's my favorite part, really. Well, there's not one specific. It's just everything about it I just love.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Favorite part of being a musician. Hmm. I would say it's definitely like I don't know if this is my favorite part, but this is the part that's like helps me the most. It's like in some ways I get like I always say like I love music, music saved my life, but also music's the thing that almost killed me. It's like it's one of those where it's like you get the like yes, you get to express all this art and everything and like get stuff out of you, but at the same times it's like there was at least two different times I've been suicidal, feeling like I don't know how I'm supposed to survive in this world, kind of being different. And some people say like it's wrong to think that you're different. I'm going to take the opposite approach. I
Hmm.
believe thinking that you're different is honestly what makes you a better person. There's this again, this is a culture thing. I don't know if it's like this in the UK, but I feel like in the US there's very much this conformist culture to people who want to be the same and want to only strive for these goals of get on OnlyFans, get on this, do that, get on porn, do like get on TV, be successful, be rich, be all of this. And it's like at the end of the day, it's like you wanted you fame is such like an intoxicating thing. It's one thing that I'm like glad that now being almost 30 and like getting in my late 20s, I kind of realize this. I'm like, I no longer seek fame. Like it's not it's like if it happens, it happens. If not, it's like listen,
Hmm.
I'd rather be an artist. Like And granted, you're still a smaller creator, like I would say arguably, like, but it's like there's something to where like being able to like be an artist and still live and just speak your truth to people versus like having to be generated by like corporations. I'm very much an anti like that's probably why I'd have no problem in the UK. A lot of people say like capitalism's a good thing. I think socialism's a better way to go because it's like as a people, we should be focused on trying to help everyone,
Hmm.
not just trying to go for money, not
Yeah.
just working for this next check, but especially in America, it's like you're bombarded with, as I said, all that stuff of like it's where it's like just like shoot for the top, shoot for everything, and it's like, but it's like while you're shooting for the top, there's this person on the street that's dying, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I like to use with my platform as well, and with the different brands and the different connections that I've managed to make and networking. I do help organise and run and fundraise for my local Pride committee as well. So I like to, like you say, give back, help. Even if it's in a small way. If it
Yeah,
even managed to help one person, then it's worth doing. So yeah, I'm quite heavily involved in my local Pride. We held a big event last year. We're hoping to do one again at the end of this year. So yeah, just to raise awareness really, and just to help as many people as we can.
and that's amazing. Where it's like wanting to give back. It's something that we're like, I will do that for people here. It's like through all of this, like as I say, like being a musician who stepped outside of music to do stuff and do this is honestly helps me to like um get connections to give to other people. It's like you're a model of if I can find somebody in America who's willing to like work with you, like I'll gladly pass your name along to somebody. Like that's just the kind of person I am. Like
Thank you.
you're welcome. Yeah. It's using connections. It's like this thing of like I don't know, people feeling like I don't know where I'm gonna go with that. My mind is working faster than my brain. Or my mouth is working faster than my brain. So I guess I'll just go to the next question. So who's been your favorite photographer to work with?
Oh, um, I couldn't say really, and I don't want to sound like cheesy or evasive, but I've loved all the photographers that I've worked with in for very different reasons, and they're all great at what they do. So I guess I don't have a favorite photographer. I've just appreciated all of their help and guidance with all of them that I've worked with. Some more than others. So I've worked with some of the photographers more um, than I have with other photographers. Not for any particular reason, just because of like schedules not aligning and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've got a favorite photographer. I just appreciate all of their help and guidance that all of them have given me.
right. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I guess yeah, because you obviously like clearly every photographer has a different vision, so it's like
Yeah,
you get to change.
yeah. All of them have given me, pointers and advice and guidance in all very different ways. We've created really different images. I've had great experiences with all of them. So yeah, I've just, like I say, I've just been really fortunate, really, and really lucky. But appreciated them all.
Well, okay. Before we get to the next question, I just have a curiosity question. So, would you ever consider doing OnlyFans, or is that something to where like you would?
Um, I've been asked this a lot,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't do OnlyFans at the moment. There is
yeah,
no for anyone that does, but I do the modelling and the influencing on the side. I do have quite a professional job, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize that in any way by doing OnlyFans. But I wouldn't rule it out in the future. I would say, I would consider it. Just it's just not the right time for me personally at the moment to do an OnlyFans.
right. I mean, to be clear, I've always answered this question. Now, my thing is, granted, like yes, I work a professional job too, but it's not. That's not my reason for not doing it. It's just for me, it's more the I don't want to have to fight with people to be like, oh, but you did this on OnlyFans. But it's like, yes, but I want you to take me seriously as an artist. But we saw you doing this over here. It's like I don't want to have that like back and forth with
Hmm.
people because it's like,
I get that.
yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's like I'm one of those people who like just like you. Some people would say, again, I'm not saying this. I'm just presenting this point. It's like that it cheapens what you do, but it's like at the end of the day, your art should speak for itself. So it doesn't matter if you did this over here or on the
Hmm.
side. What you're putting forward should be the main thing that people are focusing on. And if you're over here doing shit to make money, like
Yeah, I mean,
let's
I think good on everyone that's got an OnlyFans and that have been really successful. I've met quite a few creators that are on OnlyFans over the last couple of years. All of them are always really friendly, and they're really great people. So credit to them. No disrespect or anything like that. If you want to do an OnlyFans, then you do you, boo. Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
me personally, it's just not the right time for me. But it's something I would consider in the future.
Yes. So how excited were you when you found out that you were nominated for Mr. Gay Great Britain?
I was over the moon. I was so excited. I came across the competition last year when it was already sort of in flight, and I really debated whether or not to apply. I didn't necessarily have the confidence or anything like that. And then I've really thought about it over the last couple of months, and I applied. And then when I got the news that I was made a finalist, I was just shocked, over the moon, happy, excited, very nervous. The other finalists are great boys. There's a lot of competition this year, so um, but yeah, just mixed emotions when I found out, but generally just really excited and just really thankful that I've been given this opportunity.
So okay, this is where you're gonna have to. So what exactly is Mr. Gay Great Britain?
So, Mr. Gay Great Britain, if you so there's multiple different rounds that we have to do. So one of the rounds is a charity fundraiser for the chosen charities of Mr. Gay Great Britain. Um, then whoever raises the most money for their chosen charities wins the charity round. Then you have Mr. Congeniality, where the other finalists get to vote for who they want to win. Then on the actual final, which is at the end of August, we have to do a catwalk, like a runway, and we have to do swimwear, formal wear, and an outfit of our choice. And then there's multiple judges, and we've been really lucky and really excited. We've got the Duchess, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Northumberland, that is going to be at the final, and she's going to be one of the judges. So super excited to meet her. And they'll judge us on our walk, our stage presence, our design, originality, and then you get the judges' scores. We have to do an exam around LGBTQ history, because if we're going to represent the LGBTQ community, then you need to know about the history. So it's quite in depth. There's a lot of different rounds and challenges that we all have to go through. And then if you're crowned the winner, then you get to go to the Houses of Parliament, and get to represent the gay community with issues that we're all facing, and get to represent and hopefully make a change. So that's the biggest thing, really, making a difference.
See, that is amazing for like the UK to do that. I wish the United States had a competition like that, because it's like, let's get real. Some of your models that you love to jerk off to probably don't even know any fucking thing about gay history in the United States. Like, it's like it's like trust. I swear sometimes I know it's like, yes, be you, be gay, whatever. I feel like at some point, in order to openly say you're gay, you should have to take a test. And it's
Yeah.
like, if you don't know why. So I will say this: I still kind of don't know. I know some people in the UK. So what is the significance of gay pride in the UK?
Gay pride is huge here. Most towns will have their own local pride, and then
Yeah,
you have city prides, and then you have the big three in the UK. And the big three would be London, Brighton, and Manchester,
yeah.
which are three big gay capitals of the UK. So yeah, pride is massive in the UK, the same as it would be in the States, really. We're a much smaller country though, so it's probably
Right.
you guys. But I actually went to Dallas Pride one year, and that was amazing. It's a completely different experience, a US Pride to a UK, but yeah, they're still just as big. Like, people celebrate Pride a lot here.
So, well, I mean, okay, is there some like historical significance to pride in the UK? Because I know there is in the US. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was a protest. So
Okay.
there's definitely a lot of history here as well. I know you guys had Stonewall and stuff like
Yes.
that. Had our own version in the UK, I guess. But
Yes.
it's historical. It's a chance for people to celebrate, and like I say, it's we've been really fortunate. I've been lucky enough as well to go to London and Brighton Prides, and they're huge. And we've had great performers there as well. So even though we're in the UK, we've had headliners at Brighton Pride like Britney Spears, Kylie Minogue. So yeah, they've been brilliant. But I did
See,
know when I came to Dallas Pride, you guys. So we have floats and we have a parade,
right.
but in Dallas they chuck out beads like Mardi,
Oh,
which
Mardi Gras, yeah.
yeah, which we don't necessarily. I don't think we do. I've never experienced that. Okay. We've never experienced, or I haven't experienced beads at a UK Pride. So I really noticed that in America when I went to the Dallas Pride.
See, the one thing is, and it's why I want to get out of Florida, is because like I would like to be in a place where, because technically Pride in the United States is supposed to happen the same time every year, but it doesn't. Because like, as you said, with the significance of Stonewall, the reason that Pride is in June in the United States is because that's the anniversary of the Stonewall riots. But in Florida, they don't do it like that, because they say it's too hot in June, which, I mean, it is. It's hot all year, but it's like, they're like, it's too hot. So yeah,
Yeah,
that would be,
our prides are in June, but we do have prides throughout the year. So I think the very
yeah,
first pride is at the end of May that I'm going to,
right.
and they run right the way through to September. Um, So yeah, I go to multiple different prides around the UK throughout the year.
Yeah, I haven't been to one. Actually, no, that's not true. I haven't been to one in like 2 years, so I will definitely look forward to doing that this year.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love.
So, yes, there's all sorts of shenanigans. So, what's your dating life been like?
A mess. So I was single for 12 years. And then I was in a relationship for just over a year. And that relationship ended 8 months ago. So I've
Oh
just
wow.
been single. I haven't necessarily dated a lot because I've just been focusing on my professional career and my modeling side. Um, and I've been too busy to date, really. I'm in full Mr. Gay Great Britain mode now.
Yeah.
To compete. I've mentioned, I help with my local pride. So it's
Right.
like fundraising, different events, looking after their social media, um, and yeah, just basically that with my professional job and seeing friends and family. I just don't really have a lot of time today, and if I am to date someone, I want to give them 100%. I don't want to give them 10% because I'm doing other stuff. I don't think that would be fair to them. Um,
Mm,
I don't date.
no, I mean, first of all, I get that. Like, believe me, my man has very much mentioned that. Well, this was the thing. I told him this like before we started dating. So we've known each other for almost 6 years now, but it's like we just started dating recently and I had to be like, "Listen, it's like if I don't get back to you immediately, it's not me ignoring you, I'm busy." Cuz cuz as I always say, like I do everything myself. Like
Yeah,
in terms of reaching out to guests, writing questions, doing music, all this, it's like I do everything myself.
yeah,
So it's like a lot of times there was one time that he got back. We had this conversation after this event. Like he was texting me, and then like I forgot to text him back, and it wasn't like an intentional thing. And he's like, "Are you ignoring me?" And then we had to have the conversation. I'm like, "I had this conversation with you when we started. Like, it's not me being like, because I mean, he's amazing. He's literally the person who like basically I told him my plans, and a few months ago he's like, listen, I'll move with you because like I don't want to lose you. And I was like, that to me is so sweet. I get that because it's like I had been in a relationship that lasted a year, and then I didn't date until my most current relationship for 6. Well, I dated somebody short term for a month right out of that relationship, but after that it was like a long span
yeah, yeah,
until my most recent relationship. So I mean, I get it. Like taking time, it's like it's the best thing for you because it allows you to heal
yeah,
and not just like. And plus, you know that now. I was in my 20s when I dated somebody for a year. Now at the age of 32, you kind of know. Like even I know now, like almost getting to 30, it's like taking time is honestly the best thing for you. Like
hmm,
it's like granted, and it's like if you need a fix, like every few months or so, you just go out there and get it and like move on about your life. I mean, like, first of all, I love when people are so like, oh my gosh, that person's so slutty. I'm like, bitch, you wish you were too. Like, like, don't sit here and be like holier than thou, thinking like you're better than this person because they're having sex and you're not. It's like, get the fuck out of here, bitch.
yeah, yeah. All about sex positivity, no slut shaming.
No,
If you're not hurting anybody and you're having a good time, then that's up to them. That's their own business.
No,
But no one should be made to feel ashamed or bad for doing what they've got to do.
yeah, it's like it's the same thing I feel about sex work. It's like I have, at least in my view, I have one of the most liberal views on it, which is like I don't actively look for sex work, but I'm like, but if somebody's gonna offer me money, I'm gonna take it. Like, it,
You
which I
do.
know, yeah, it's like that's the thing where it's like, so to judge somebody, it's like at the end of the day, don't know if it's like this in the UK. It definitely is in the US. It's the oldest profession in this country. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and
true.
plus, yeah, it's like people are gonna have people if people are gonna want to pay, people who want to pay for sex are gonna pay for sex no matter what. You're not gonna stop people from doing it.
Hmm.
But it's also in well, okay. This is where I don't want to generalize Europe with the rest of the UK, so I'm gonna ask. So is the UK like the rest of Europe, where it's like they're a little bit more liberal in terms of how they treat sex?
No, actually, I think British people can be quite
Mm,
prudish compared to the rest of Europe. So, like, Europe is like if you go to countries like Germany, Spain,
yeah.
uh, Holland, they're very
Hmm.
comfortable with being naked. The naked body isn't necessarily sexual. It's just, oh, it's a naked body. But I
Yeah.
think Brits, because we can be uptight and we can be a bit prude,
Yes.
I think that we are a step behind the rest of Europe when it comes to stuff like that. Um, like we, yeah, we're just a bit more, we're a bit more reserved and a bit more prudish, I guess, compared to the rest of Europe, in my personal opinion, and from what
Yeah.
I've experienced. Um, I would say that, yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Let's see. So I think we kind of answered this before, but because I'm just gonna ask it again. So what are your thoughts on how the LGBT community is being treated today?
I think in the UK, I
Yeah.
think um, trans rights have got, I just feel that there needs to be so much more work done for trans people.
Yes.
The UK, I think that it is disgusting and embarrassing that the UK, that is meant to be forward thinking,
Hmm.
world leading, that we still have conversion therapy. And there's a lot of, well, the LGBTQ plus community are putting a lot of pressure on our government to ban that. I don't understand why it's taking so long. It's just common sense. It's the right thing to do. Um,
Right.
so yeah, there's so much that needs to be done in the UK. But I'm also very aware that there are some parts of the world where you are sentenced to death for being gay or being imprisoned or worse. Um, and that to me is just mind blowing. I think that I'm very lucky that I was born and raised in the UK, where there's still a lot of work to be done, like I've just said, but we do, I
Yes.
have rights. I think that the US, I think how the LGBTQ community are treated as second class citizens in the US is just a disgrace. Um, but yeah, there's just so much worldwide. People think at the moment, oh, we're in 2024. No one's homophobic anymore. No one cares anymore. It's just like, yes, they do. There's still lots of countries out there where you're sentenced to death for just being who you are and for loving who you love.
Yes.
A lot of people that are still, as I've mentioned, I've been fortunate enough where I haven't had anything like that personally happen to me, and I hope it never does. But I'm very aware, and I know people that it has happened to. We still can't walk down the street holding hands. We still can't publicly display any type of affection to one another with the fear of being ridiculed or attacked. And that's in the UK as well. So
Yes.
US, you know, when I visited Dallas, I was very aware and very conscious when I wasn't in a gay friendly space. Um, like when I visited straight bars, I was very aware of my surroundings and a bit on edge, really. And nobody should feel like that. So yeah, I just think that there's just so much work to be done. Yes, we are in 2024, and it just amazes me that we are in 2024 and there's still so much work to be done.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, through my platform and my local pride committee and through Mr. Gay Great Britain, I can make that a bit easier for the next generation.
Yes. Well, I will say this to the US, it's like, yes, I'm going to say this. Dallas is very much like that because Dallas is in Texas. Like
Yeah,
the the conservative parts of the United States are like that. If you're more in, I'm not going to say it doesn't happen at all, but like if you're in New York, LA, Detroit, like you're in different like more liberal areas of the country, being able to walk hand in hand is a little bit more like acceptable.
yeah,
But I mean, I get what you're saying. It's like the conservativeness is unreal. But with that, I also feel like, as you said, there's so much, I would say, especially in the United States, like people say the United States is like the like greatest, well, I shouldn't say the greatest country in the world. It has the most like political power in the world. And I'm like, well, if we have the most political power in the world, I believe we should be fighting in countries like in the Middle East, where, again, as you said, like gay people are getting killed for being gay. We should be sending military aid. If we're going to send anything, it should be to protect that, not sit there and like fight between Hamas and Israel trying to like solve a conflict that we're never going to be able to solve because it's been the same fight for like 100 years, 100 plus years that we're getting in the middle of. It's like some people like don't like to get political, but it's like, but you have to, because unfortunately being gay is intrinsically political. It just is.
yeah. And it's a real shame because it's, you know, it, for all we want to do, we don't want any more rights. We just want the same rights. We just want to be
Exactly.
as anybody else is treated. And the fact that, you know, that we've got to fight for that right is is disgusting. And the fact that some people don't even have the chance to fight for that right because they are literally just killed, attacked, assaulted, or just put in prison is horrific. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I say, I hope that I can try and make a little bit of
Yeah.
a difference. You know, even like I've mentioned before, even if I can help a couple of people, then it's definitely worth doing. So
Yeah.
just keep fighting the fight, keep being heard, and standing up for ourselves, our rights, and looking out for one another because we're stronger sticking together. Um, you know, we've got the L's, we've got the G's, we've got the B's, we've got the T's, and the Q pluses. So we just all need to stick together and look out for one another.
Exactly. Exactly. This,
Stronger in
I,
numbers.
yeah. I don't know if this is a thing in the UK. It is in the US, where you have people who are like the LGB, the quote unquote LGB movement. It's like, let's just fight for us and let the trans people fight for themselves. I'm like,
No,
my response to that is like, are you fucking stupid? Like, they're in this with us. Like, they've always been in this with us. So like,
absolutely.
what? Now that they're having to fight for stuff that doesn't necessarily involve you, it's like they were here when we were trying to fight for marriage. It's like, why is this separation like so important to people? It's like in
I
my
say
view, it's like stop being selfish. Like, honestly,
absolutely.
stop being selfish and like help people out.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it probably is a thing in the UK. Um, I certainly don't have that mindset. I think that we should all look out for each
Absolutely.
other. We should all be kind to each other, and we should all stick up for each other, because nobody else will. And if we can't look out for one another, then what are we all doing? You know.
Exactly.
So no, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, to my final question, what's the biggest misconception about you?
I don't know really. I guess when I've met people face to face, they've said that they thought that I'm going to be a bitch, and I'm not. I'm just a genuine nice person, or
Yeah.
I am. You know, if I meet anyone, I'm always polite. I'm always friendly, and I just try to be a decent person. Um, So I think that's probably the biggest misconception, because I think people see my persona online and they might think that I'm a bit stuck up, or but I'm not like that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just down to earth, really friendly, and like I say, I just try to be a nice person.
Yeah.
So from what you put online and what you actually are, because I don't put anything personal necessarily on my Instagram, it is all just photo shoots and stuff like that. But if you get to know me, I hope people think I'm a nice person anyway. So I think that's probably the biggest misconception. People don't
Yeah.
know what I'm like. Um, but I like to think that I'm loyal, genuine, and down to earth and a nice person, really.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, again, this would be why I invite models and go-go dancers and porn stars on here, because I want people to see that. It's like, that's the thing. I've been told too. One of them is that I'm intimidating, which,
Yeah,
I
I've had.
mean, well, my thing is I'm not short. I'm very tall. Like, and when you put me in heels, I'm even taller. Like, so it's like, and it's like, yes, I wear sunglasses inside. The reason for that is, again, going back to my mom. So my mom was the greatest like musical influence in my life, and like the pair of the sunglasses that I wear when I go out and like perform, they're not these. These I got in a brand deal, which I love brand deals. More brands want to sponsor me. More sunglasses brands. As long as there's not
Like,
shit in your like lineup, I'll gladly take sponsorships anyway. So it's like, but I wear a pair of her sunglasses when I go on stage. So it's like, it's my way of taking her energy with me
yeah,
every time I perform.
yeah.
And it's also, especially now, it's like I've been doing drag for God almost 10 years. I don't know how to do eyes. So like,
So you
so it's
mask
like
it.
I'm not, yeah, so it's like that's why like other drag queens hate me, because it takes them 2 to 4 hours to get ready and it takes me 30 minutes. So like, and then what's the other one is that I've been told I'm shady. I will admit I'm very opinionated. I'm very opinionated. And
But
if sometimes I say something shady,
Shady,
I think you
surely
needed to hear it.
I would, any drag queen that I were to come across or meet, I would expect them to be shady. I think it's part of the persona. As they say on Rue, reading is fundamental, and I think that you just need. I think it's part of a drag queen's persona. You have to be shady, because if you're on stage, you're going to get heckled, or you might get heckled by someone in there, and you need to be quick. You need to be able to throw that shade straight back. So I think it's part of a drag queen's arsenal. Really, they have to be
Yeah.
shady.
It's like, especially if you're like up there, not necessarily like, if you're up there doing of like, especially like if you were doing stand up, which at some point I'd love to do. I haven't done it yet, but I'd love to do stand up in a drag club. It's like you get the people. It's like shut up, bitch. Go in the bathroom. Somebody's dick needs to be sucked. Fuck off. Like that sort of like that thing. It's like, but it's like, yeah, yeah. But it's like I'm not mean. Like
Yeah,
I'm nice. Like,
There's a fine line, isn't there? Like, again,
yeah,
you can be mean or you can be funny, and there's a very fine line between funny and mean, and sometimes people cross it. But yeah, I get that. There is a balance to
no,
shadiness as well.
because to that Drag Race, you see. I mean, granted, I have not been watching the U.S. season this much because it's like
But have you been watching UK versus the world?
I haven't. I've needed to get caught up
Terrible.
on that. This is it's a bad season.
Yeah.
Okay, well in that case I'll skip it. Like,
Oh, sorry, I got distracted then. No, the UK versus the
yeah,
world season is brilliant. It's
oh
got great queens in it from obviously all over the world.
right.
Uh, the UK is very well represented. I haven't watched this week's episode though, so I need to catch up on that this weekend.
No, I need to. There's so much like the show that I've been obsessed with recently, and I will admit I have to watch this week's episode because I have to watch this week's and make sure I watch next week's episode because in 2 weeks I'm interviewing one of the contestants from this show. So there's this show in America called For the Love of Dilfs,
Yeah,
and it's like I'm interviewing one of the daddies. So it's like that's what I've been like the show that I've been watching recently.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But anyway, with that being said, it was a pleasure getting to meet you.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. I've had a great time. It's definitely a new
Yeah.
experience. Never done anything like this before, and I'm glad it was you. I felt really comfortable. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yes. I did not know that. I will say this, like, if ever, like, especially like the Mr. Great Britain, tons of people are gonna come around. Most people suck at doing this. Like, I have no problem saying that. So it's like, if you win, I gladly come back and I will talk to you and make you feel more at home. Because yes, people suck at doing interviews.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely,
want,
definitely do this again. I mean,
yeah,
I've got the final is in August, so hopefully, if we
yes,
after, we'll stay in touch. But if we were to
yes,
have you after August, hopefully, I've got good news. But if not, just chatting about the experience,
yeah,
but yeah, I've had a really great time. Thank you for having me on,
yes,
and taking the time. Obviously, we know there's a
yeah,
time, so
yeah,
yeah, I appreciate it. I'm really glad that my first one was with you.
yes. Thank you. And with that being said, this is Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.
Thank you.